I feel like shit.
Monday, happy days. Tuesday, Wednesday, happy days.
It's just one of
Friday,
those
happy days.
days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home.
It's just one of those days where you don't wanna wake up. Everything is everybody sucks. You don't really know why, but you wanna justify ripping someone's head off. No human contact, and if you interact, your life is on contract. Your best bet is
Knock it off, you scumbucket.
it's just one of those days. It's just one of
Monday,
those.
happy days.
It's just one of those.
Tuesday, happy days.
It's just one of those
Happy days.
days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make change.
It's just one of those days, feeling like a freight train. First one to complain, leaves with the bloodstain. Damn right, I'm a maniac. You better shoot, cause I'm fucking up your program. And you go stuck up, you just locked up. Next in line to get fucked up. Your best bet is to stay away, motherfucker. It's just,
I'm losing my cool.
it's all
Monday,
about,
happy days.
it's just one of
Tuesday,
those,
happy days.
it's just one of those
Happy
days.
The weekend comes, let's not go home. Ready to make change. These days,
I feel like shit. My suggestion is distance. Right now I'm dangerous. Right now I'm dangerous.
Something's happening to the farms.
And my day keeps going this way and this way.
I'm gonna pop you one so you'll stop playing games.
Give me something great. Give me something great. I hope you know I pack a chainsaw. A chainsaw. A motherfucking chainsaw.
What?
So come and get it.
What we got here is a case of mistaken identity, you know? See, now this here,
Not Robert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chief Moody, and welcome to episode 78 of the Mood of the Nation podcast. How's everyone doing this fine Sunday afternoon? Well, even than I normally say, but I think still technically, because it's still, the daybreak is out, I think people would normally call it like the afternoon or anything like that. But anyway, I myself am pretty tired today because I was out this morning with some of the lads from PA Scotland. We did a bit of leafleting for drama. How many I would say we gave out today? It was about 900 leaflets altogether for the four of us, which was really good stuff. And I got some more leaflets with me just now, so hopefully at some point, if I'm free at all this week, I will be going out to do some more leafleting. But we'll definitely see with that, of course. And I'll see if I can get more people to help me out with that as well. So anyway, it's nice to see a lot of people in the chats just now. I do see everything's working fine with DLive, Odysee, and Entropy, and of course with YouTube. So a lot of people have been asking me, Moody, we understand your situation of what happened to your YouTube channel, and we know you're doing Mood of the Nation live on those other platforms, but would it be fine if you could maybe bring it back to YouTube? So I've had a thought about it, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, why not? I'll bring it back on YouTube. So basically, I'm doing exactly the same thing as what PA Talk are doing. They'll be live on YouTube, Odysee, and DLive. I'm not too sure about Entropy if they have that as well, but anyway, basically they'll be live on all platforms. Now, with that being said, as I mentioned previously on the show, there will come a point in the near future. I'm not too sure when exactly, but I know it will happen. My YouTube channel will get nuked because technically it even starts at 6 p.m. That makes sense. That makes sense. Sorry, as I was saying, so there will come a point where my YouTube channel will get yeeted off of YouTube, but even then, I'll still be doing streaming on Odysee and DLive, of course. So with that, let's have a look and see who's in the chat. I do see there's a lot of familiar faces as well, mainly, of course, on YouTube, which again is completely fair enough. Not getting naming the names because I really want to get the show started. I also do apologize for starting half an hour later than expected. See, I had to go out and get some stuff, just of course for the house and whatnot. Another thing too was that I tried to update it on my Odysee, but for some reason it will not allow me to do it for whatever reason. So if it keeps saying it's like 5 p.m., technically, of course, it would have been 5:30 But I'm here now, so we'll definitely do the show now at this point. Just real quick from Rory Herbert, Chief Ready PA just announced that they have reached their drama target of 100,000 leaflets. Excellent stuff, excellent stuff. That's really good to hear. Everyone, maybe for that, can we give like PA, everyone involved to give out a leaflet? Maybe we should give everyone a big 14 in the chat on YouTube, Odysee, and of course DLive. That would be very beneficial, of course. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Just get back up here. Excellent, perfect. What I'll also be doing, folks, is after the show comes to an end tonight, I will put the episode that's streaming live on YouTube, I'll put that on private so that for people who may have missed the show live and are looking to watch the replay of the episode, that will be exclusively on Odysee. And I'll even post a Telegram message about that as well later on, just so for people to know about that as well. And we'll see from there. One last final thing before I bring my guest on this evening is I want to bring up entropy. Now, just like with the previous episodes, I would like to answer some questions towards the last half hour of every episode. So I'll end the show tonight at 7 p.m. because I know that I think it's the PA Book Club that's going to be live at 7 tonight. So I'll definitely post links for that episode on all for all of the chats later on towards the end of the show, I would say, regarding to that as well. So when it comes to entropy, I'll just put this up here real quick. If you would like to, let me see here, just one second. If you would like to ask a question, whether it be paid or unpaid questions, then you can post them through the entropy link here as just now. And of course, if you would like to support me or contribute to my work or support me financially, my Ko-fi and my PayPal links will be in the descriptions down below on YouTube and Odysee. Just so I would mention that as well, of course, just to make sure. Now that I've got everything like that out of the way, let's get right into the show. And let me, of course, bring on my guest for this fine Sunday afternoon or almost evening. Now, I believe this would be his 5th time in a row he's been on Mood of the Nation, but of course, I would say he's a pretty popular guest on the show. I know people really do like and appreciate this fine gentleman I'm going to bring on just now. So what I'm going to do is I'll bring it on at this very moment. Let me see here. Cool. Right, I'll just bring him onto the show just now. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to have back onto the show for the 5th or 6th time in a row, Mr. Joe Marsh of PA Wales. Hello, Joe. Thank you, and welcome back onto Mood of the Nation. How you doing, sir?
I'm all right, thanks. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So, I think it's been quite a long while since you were last on the show. I think you were on the 61st episode, if I'm not mistaken, and that was with Bill. But yeah, maybe it was something like that, but it was quite a long time since you've last been on here.
Yeah, it's been about 6 weeks, I reckon. I haven't been on any streams for a while now,
Yeah, of course. I do see that you and the other members of PA Wales have been really busy during this month for drama. So how has that been getting on for you guys?
All right, yeah, we've done loads. We've been out this morning, early. We've done a few towns around South Wales, I gave you a video earlier on, if we got time, maybe you could stick it on. It's only a short one, but we've been all over the place. We've done quite a lot,
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to win because some of them are flying with the amounts that they've done. We just couldn't put out anywhere near as many as some of the regions, but we do our best,
Yeah, I mean, this year alone, even though this is the first year for drama, all the other regional groups, especially Eastern, have been killing it this year. It's incredible the amount of leaflets they've managed to get out but just within their own regions alone is absolutely amazing. And of course, as Rory Herbert in the chat pointed out earlier on, it is really nice to see that PA have, within this first year of drama, have surpassed the 100,000 leaflet mark, which again, really good stuff to see with that. Hopefully by next year, maybe if we get more members get involved, then maybe we'll get more leaflets to be taken out. But even with that being said, this year has been absolutely outstanding with everyone involved. So I think everyone who has gotten involved and given out leaflets, regardless of which regional group they're in, I definitely think people should give themselves a pat on the back for that, because the amount of work that's been doing for the past like month or so has just been outstanding. I mean, from what I've heard, we've been given a lot of support within people who are not members of PA. Sure, there've been a lot of naysayers for the past few weeks, but they're only just like naysayers at the end of the day. But I think seeing those types of naysayers, especially on a platform like Twitter, it's just been absolutely just funny to watch. Just see those people just spurging out like, oh, this vile racist rhetoric. I cannot believe this leaflet was posted through my door. How dare they? It's like, look, if you don't like the leaflet, you could just either give it back to us or even just throw it in the bin. Like, that's literally all they have to do. But I just think it's funny that. What about yourself, Joe? Have you and any other guys have encountered anything like that at all?
It's exposed the lefties for what they are. They're absolutely deranged, you know?
Right.
Because, well, we went to Caerphilly Castle to do a banner drop, and we see this big mob of Plaid Cymru people there because there's local elections going on, right? So Plaid Cymru are fake nationalists. They say they're nationalists. They hate the English, but they don't mind filling Wales up with foreigners, you know? They would, like, if English people buy holiday homes down here, they'd like to set fire to them, but they'd quite happily let those cottages be full of Africans. They're not nationalists, like, they drive me mental. Anyway, as we got there, we see this big mob of them there, you know? So we've gone right down next to them and pulled our banner out. And they've started mouthing and saying, oh, yeah, all this, you know. And I had a really bad throat for 2 weeks, and I've had to have antibiotics and that. And I couldn't argue like the way I wanted to argue with them about how they're fake nationalists. I was trying to argue, and my throat kept breaking up, like, you know. But like they were saying, some of them were saying, this is bullshit. You're not going to be replaced. You know, we're not going to be a minority. And some of them were saying, well, yeah, we are. Maybe we are, but it's a good thing. What's so wrong with that? They were saying, you know, like, excuse me, you're supposed to be nationalists, and you're standing there saying that you're not bothered if white people become a minority. Then you're not a fucking nationalist, are you? Right. You know, these people are mental. They're mentally ill, like, and they don't realize it, you know. And if nothing else, is expose that. We've got a lot of people saying they really didn't realize how bad things were, like. So I expect that all over the country we've woken a lot of people up, you know. But it's exposed the left for what they are. They either say that this is not happening, or they say it is happening and it's good, you know. How could it possibly be good? You know, like, if somebody said to them, there's a tribe in India and they're going to be a minority in their little homeland, they'd be reaching for the fucking GoFundMe pages, you know, and they'd be screaming and getting their banners out to stop it happening. But, like, they don't give a shit about us, like, you know, their own people. It's beyond, it is, you know. But it's been really worthwhile, this has, you know.
It really has been, yeah. I mean, it's just, again, just really good stuff. Just to add on to what you said there just now, Joe, I mean, you could even see, like, with the current stuff, like, people had talked about the whole Ukraine situation. Remember when there were talks about having these, like, Ukrainian people, or like women and children and all of that, being brought over to Britain because it's our obligation to help them out? And it's like, well, all right, hold on a minute here. Why is it that you feel the need to house these people from Ukraine? Because I get some of the aspect of it because of what's going on over there, you know, with Russia and all of that. But why is it that you feel the need to help out those people than rather helping out people living in Britain? There's people right now that we know at this very moment, whether it be Scotland, England, Wales, or Northern Ireland, etc., who are homeless and are desperately looking for some form of shelter or anything like that. But with those homeless living in Great Britain, it's like, who cares? But like some foreigner who doesn't even live or even stayed in Britain before, it's like, oh, we need to help them out. But our people, nah, who cares? But it's just it's like, why is there such like this like? It's astonishing to me, like, why people have, like, I just really want to know, like, where exactly are the priorities at? You know, it just seems like they care more about like foreigners rather than, as you said, rather than care about their own people. It's shameful that.
Well, they would step over a homeless person in their own street, yet they'll but they'll help somebody from the other side of the world who's more than likely hostile to us and would kill us for tuppence, But like they couldn't give a crap if people were sleeping on the streets of their town as long as they can help foreigners. And like when you've seen all these so-called Ukrainians being brought over here, they're all black. They're just like, excuse me, they're not Ukrainians. They are people that have sneaked into Ukraine and now they're being brought over here saying they am Ukrainian. Have you seen that video of that black guy saying, why would I fight for Ukraine? It's not my country. I don't care about it. I want to go somewhere else. They only say that they belong to a country when it suits them. If they're asked to fight for that country, they ain't fighting. He says on the video, well, I'm not Ukrainian, I'm black. And he's laughing, like the fact that somebody asked him if he'd fight for Ukraine. Like, they're not here to fight for the countries they're in. They're here as parasites to steal from us,
Yeah, I know. It's shameful that there was a lot of things that came out of that. Like I'm sure yourself, Joe, and people in the chat may have seen this before, but there was that photograph of like I think it's a middle-aged gentleman who, of course, was like, yes, of course, I want to house some of these Ukrainian people into my home because I want to help them out, etc., etc. When they came over. And he found out they were black. He was like, "Wait, hold on a minute here." And there's that photograph with them and these Ukrainian refugees, quote unquote, but they're joggers, and he just has that face where he's just like, "Oh shit, what the fuck have I done?"
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, I'm sure some of these people thought they were going to get some beautiful blonde people turning up at their house, and they've looked at the taxis pulled up outside, and there's a couple of Africans, And this is it. And you couldn't say, hang on a minute, I don't want them. I wanted white Ukrainians. This it's like absolutely you're stuck with them. So shocking, honestly. These people are just absolute muppets. I mean, there's an old song called "Irrelevant Battles" from like the 70s. It's by Patrick Fitzgerald. It's like it basically says. They're too busy fighting irrelevant battles abroad. It's about the lefties, and they don't care what's going on in their own backyard. They literally don't. And there was a case before. There was this Arab guy living in Bristol, and they wanted to deport him. And all the lefties were screaming and shouting about it and having protests and that. And then in the end, they let him stay. And then about a year later, he raped a 15-year-old girl. Right? Now, did those lefties all come out of the woodwork then and say, oh, sorry, we got it wrong? No, they just disappear like, oh, shit, just keep your nut down now,
Yeah.
And they probably still haven't deported him,
No,
I bet he's done a few years and now he's back out on the streets of Bristol. They couldn't give a shit, those lefties,
Yeah, it's just, it's really shameful that, especially some of these lefties claim to be like feminists and whatnot, but when there was a report about a woman being sexually assaulted or molested by like a foreigner, they're just dead silent. Not a single peep from them whatsoever. It's like, but hold on a minute, I thought you were for women's equality and all of that. Why is it with these cases you're completely silent? Or a famous case example, I know it's a cliche to talk about this at this point, but it's absolutely true. The grooming gang scandal. When that whole thing was going on, and it's like the police themselves didn't even want to get involved because they didn't want to be called racist. And whenever people tried to point out, it's like, no, you can't talk about that. We need to keep quiet, hush, white working class lassie. What's important here is diversity. In fact, as a matter of fact, I know this is brought up on previous shows, not on Mood of the Nation, but PA Talk. Did you watch the episode on PA Talk where they had PA London and what's the name of that lassie who did that video where he was at the BAME convention? Oh, what's her name again? Is it Paris?
I think it was Paris. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch that video?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Oh, you know, because that was a terrific video, especially. I mean, I take my hat off to them, especially. Whoops, sorry, 1 second. Just pause that for a moment. I really do take my hat off to them because, especially when they're at the Bane convention, and I mean, that's just the most, from what I've heard of their description of what happened. I mean, it's just, it sounds like a complete hellhole of a convention.
I've
Where
seen
basically,
clips of it. Like, yeah, it is like you need some balls to go in there because
yeah,
the first thing they do is probably attack you, and then they'll ring the police and say that you've attacked them. Because this is what used to happen back in the day when we used to turn up at places. As soon as you walk in there, they just start throwing things at you, and then they say, "Oh my God, fascists!" And like people like Wayman Bennett from the UAF, the first thing they do is pull their phones out and ring the police. You know, it's just like, and they expect you to be arrested because you're a fascist. You
yeah.
know.
Hmm.
I mean, because to them we're that disgusting. We're just like paedophiles walking around the place, and that we ought to be arrested just for existing. You know. So fair play to them for going in there and doing what they did. You know, because
Yeah.
they could be on bail now for imaginary offences, like, you know. But it needs to happen. These people need to be challenged because they are now, they're fucking with our children. It's not just this; it's all this tranny shit with the children, all this teaching kids about sex in the schools and that, and telling them to be ashamed of being white and all
Hmm.
this. It's child abuse, and it's sanctioned by the fucking state, and it needs to stop. You know, so the more people that kick off about it, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Well, it's something I've talked about on the show before, and of course, I'll only talk about this one last time because I think it would be interesting to hear your perspective on this, Joe. But I have a feeling that maybe you might have seen or heard about this, but it's something, as I mentioned, I've talked about twice on Mood of the Nation. It's a live show called the Family Sex Show. If you've heard of
Yeah, that's the thing that
it,
was it the one that was cancelled this week, like, apparently.
yeah, in Norwich, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, but they haven't really cancelled it. They've just paused for now because they know there's opposition and they don't know what to do. But
Mhm.
they've not wrapped up and gone away. They're sat there thinking, how can we pull this off without right wing people fucking it up for us? That's what
Right.
they're doing. They've not gone away. They're sat there in the shadows waiting to fucking pounce.
Yeah, it's just disgusting that. I mean, I love how when the whole show, when the concept of the show, when they were talking about it, what was going to be about, they try to make it out as if like it's this educational for the kids, like 5+ and older and all of that, and it's meant to be an alternative to pornography. Meanwhile, there's been stuff that came out online that's part of the show, and I, again talked about in the previous episode, where they have a song lyrics of what was meant to be sung. Now, I'm not going to repeat them here because I've already mentioned that on the previous episode. But if people are interested, you can have a look at it for yourselves. And I can't remember who posted it on Twitter, but I remember reading the lyrics and I just thought to myself, how is this like appropriate for if this is right? Let's give them the benefit of the doubt here that this is definitely supposed to be educational for not just the kids but all the family. Everything that was in those lyrics, how is it meant to be educational in any way, shape, or form? It sounds so incredibly inappropriate for children, especially at ages of 5 and older. Like it's I know I keep saying this over and over again, but it's pedophilia. It really is definitely trying to groom our children at this point. Now it's good to see that a lot of parents, understandably so, were not happy with this whatsoever. And of course, in a place like Norwich. But as we talked about before, as you said, Joe, it's not entirely cancelled. There are two other shows in Bath and in Bristol that are still going on. So I think the more we talk about this and calling it out for what it is, then I'm sure it will definitely be cancelled because the I think at this point in time the mask has fully slipped off this is a case that these lefty types really want to groom our children, and they can try all they want and explain about, oh, this is basically just about education. It's just teaching children about, like sex is a thing and it does happen in life and all of this and that. But the way they're going about it is absolutely disgusting, because it's not educational. It's clearly setting an agenda and trying to promote some kind of degeneracy towards our children, and it needs to be stopped at this point. So,
Well, yeah, this is like, why do 5-year-old children need an alternative to pornography? They're not looking
right,
at fucking pornography anyway, are they?
no,
And like, what kind of crazy bastard would take their child to one of these do's anyway? But like, it was like with that drag queen story hour, all the lefty mothers and fathers were sat there clapping their fucking hands like little seals, and they taken their children there, and those trannies, all they do is they crack dirty little fucking innuendo jokes about sex that children don't understand, and they're getting off on talking about sex around fucking kids.
yeah,
They're absolute pedophiles, is what they are. And like, anyone who sees it for anything else other than that is a fucking nonce themselves.
yeah,
Like, there was one in Penarth down round South Wales. That was, some guy went in there kicking off, and they sort of temporarily cancelled it, but then it's gone ahead again. But the guy that went in there shouting his mouth off just got arrested. I don't know who he is or what's happened to him, but chances are he's on a fucking hate crime charge, But like,
Jesus.
he's probably a concerned parent, and like, these people are just absolute pedophiles. And
Yeah.
if you're not one of them and you think it's appropriate, then you're a fucking nonce yourself.
Mm.
There's no two ways about it. Like,
Of course. And what I even also love about that, whenever you point that out to them, like, well, do you not think this is like the way it's going about it? Do you not think that maybe this is like very inappropriate towards children? Why would a child be interested in the concept of sex anyway? They don't care, nor would they understand, especially at that age. And when you bring that up to them, they'll turn around and try to act like as if you're the nonce, like you're the pedophile. Like, it's something like I think it was No Chance talked about this when he was talking about the SNP and what they're planning to do with Scottish schools, and all of these people who would definitely would support something like this, they would turn around and say, "Well, you're probably the nonce because you don't want to teach children about sex." It's like the amount of mental gymnastics to go through just to try and make it out as if like you're the good person, and the person and the opposite making the point about, well, actually, I think this is very inappropriate for the child to learn about this, especially at that age. They'll try and turn around as if like you're the bad guy in this whole thing. It's like what? Wait, it's just like, do you people never look at yourselves in the mirror or actually maybe think for a moment of the stuff that you're thinking? Like, it's beyond me at this point. It's absolutely beyond me with that.
yeah, well, they've introduced it down here in Wales because we've got a Welsh government like full of lefty idiots and freaks, like the same as what you've got up in Scotland. And they've introduced it here, the sex education for kids. They don't fucking need it. Like, it's as simple as that. Yeah, like Drakeford. I don't know what it is with these people. It's like they're the same people who say that we're a nation of sanctuary and we need to be flooded with Africans and people from faraway lands. Like, we don't. That's not what the people want. But like, they seem to think it is. I think they got their little bubble in there and they got all these crazy fucked up ideas, and they think that everyone else thinks the same way they do. And like, there are organizations of girls and that down here who go around the schools and they protest, and they're doing quite well. I think they just got they're called PCP Wales or something. They've just got a load of publicity now, like in the national press and that. And like, but they should have a massive following. They're trying to stop this sex shit being taught to our kids, and they're going around the schools. I mean, really, they should have a massive following, but they haven't, because the majority of the British people are fucking stupid. It's just like, it's like what we're doing. We're in small numbers running around, risking being arrested, risking being fucking violently attacked all the time. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, that's great what you're doing. I'd like to help, but I can't because of my job and all this sort of thing.
Mhm.
And people won't get involved. They want someone else to do it for them while they just sit there sticking fucking Doritos in their face, you know?
Right.
And this is what it's like, you know? It's the same thing with this. People say, oh, yeah, it's terrible, that thing with school. Well, if I had children that were in school now and they were teaching that shit there, my kids wouldn't be going to school, you know? And I would be telling them, I would be organising all the other parents as well. But I haven't got kids in school now, right? But like, I would be going mental. But like, that's me. I've been a campaigner all my life. I've always been kicking off about something, right? But like, a lot of people are just, as long as they got food and they got a TV set to sit in front of, they're just happy to just let this shit go on, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I think what we'll do now is we'll move on from there and move on to the first topic tonight. Actually, just real quick, this is a comment from Steve Shaw on YouTube. If I can read this out here, Norfolk Police Constable has asked for non-prosecution of online pedophiles. I think I remember seeing that on. I think it was Twitter.
Yeah.
I've seen it on, which was like
That was like yesterday. That was, yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
Well, basically he says that all these nonces they're arresting for downloading child porn is tying up the system that much that he basically would like them not to be arrested, right?
Mhm.
Well, I'll tell you what's tying up the fucking system is all the people they're nicking for silly fucking hate crime offences, and all the people that they're not nicking but they're going to speak to for non-criminal hate offences, hate incidents, where they come round and they say, oh, like if you say to somebody, well, you're not a woman, are you, mate? You're a fucking man, right? They'll come round your house then and say, oh, do you know that comment you put on Twitter? You know, you need to wind your neck in. And they're doing that all the time. And like they were told by some high court judge the other week that you know, they had to stop focusing on non-criminal things, right? Because if something's not a criminal offence, then it's none of their fucking business, you know? But like,
Right.
he wants to stop tying up the system, arresting actual nonsense. Because if you're downloading child porn, you're only one step away from fucking raping a child, aren't you? Right?
Yeah.
So they need to be taken out and they need to be fucking dealt with, right? Much more than people who just say inappropriate things about fucking trannies or about immigration, you know? And this is the thing. He should be saying, let's stop having thousands and thousands of cases of fucking waste of time from people making comments on Twitter. Not, you know, let's leave all these pedophiles to it. It's disgusting. I mean, people like that are they're in jobs with power and influence, and they've got these fucking stupid ideas in their heads. It's beyond, it is, you know?
Yeah, it really is. There was a question that was brought up by Peter Walker. I don't know if you've seen this, Joe. What's Joe's take on the trans Bridgend Tory MP Jamie Wallace? I think this is something that I've talked about on the show before.
I know who he is, right? Listen to this now. He got arrested for leaving the scene of an accident, right? And instead of just taking it like he should have done, he broke the law. He got caught. He said he's come out with this big fucking elaborate story about how he's trans, he's been raped, and he's been blackmailed as well. And then everyone's feeling sorry for him, and he's just a fucking weirdo. You know, like, how do these people get voted in? You know, he's a criminal, and now he's made up all this fucking shit as well. That he's trans, he's been raped, he's getting blackmailed. What a load of crap, like, you know?
Yeah.
That's my take on it. I don't want to say enough to get myself arrested, but fucking the guy's a fucking idiot, you know? He shouldn't still be in the job, should he? But he is, and everyone's feeling fucking sorry for him.
Yeah.
You know? Jesus Christ, like. But anyway, we'll move on anyway, you know.
Yeah, we'll move on with that just now. Let's move on to the first topic tonight, which of course will be the title of tonight's episode, which is Stephen Lawrence Day. Now, 2 days ago on the 22nd of April, it would have marked the 29th anniversary of Stephen Lawrence's death. Now, I'll be honest with this part here. I know bits and pieces about the Stephen Lawrence case. What I do know about it, from what I've seen and what I've read about it, it really does remind me a lot of the George Floyd case, in which what I mean by that is people made a martyr out of him. Now, maybe it's slightly different to George Floyd. Now, what I know about George Floyd is that he's a convicted criminal. He's got a criminal record. He's been in pornography and all of that. He pointed a gun at a pregnant woman's stomach, and threatened to kill her and the baby. Now, what I know of Stephen Lawrence is that he was a student at high school, or like, I think it was high school at the time, and there was some murmurs about like it was involved in like gangland shooting or killings or anything like that at all. But maybe we could also talk about that today, because again, I know this was like talked about recently, like 2 days ago with that. So yeah, so what do you want to start with that, Joe, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I know quite a lot about this case, like, right? So I'll start off by saying yesterday, or sorry, on the 22nd, which is Stephen Lawrence Day, right? It's like he's got a day named after him. They've had all these festivals. His mother was made a lord. I drove into London one time for a demo, and there was all these massive billboards as you drive into London. Stephen Lawrence's mother on there, fucking modeling clothes and stuff. You know, it's just it's relentless, like, right? She's made an absolute fortune out of it, right? But anyway, you know, like they've made him a fucking celebrity, and not just a celebrity, it's a stick to bash white people with, you know? And like I could sit here all day reeling off the names of white people that's been killed by blacks and no one gives a monkey's about, you know? But yesterday, on the 22nd, the North Wales Police and Crime Commission, in fucking North Wales, right? What that's got to do with London, I don't fucking know, right? But he says that we should all reflect on this murder. It was 29 years ago, you know, right? And he says that, in North Wales, they've pledged to improve their black and Asian ethnic fucking blah, 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 confidence in the police force, and to increase their representation. That means he wants to get a lot more black people into police jobs. You know, whether they can do the job or not, he couldn't give a shit. He just wants black people in the fucking force, like they all do, you know? And like, I had a mate who was working on the Met Police's recruitment line, and he said, if you was a white, straight male, you were getting told, we'll be in touch. And if you was anything else, like you were gay or you were fucking black or you were Asian or you were any other fucking ethnicity at all, you were through to the next round. They will not employ a fucking white man, you know, unless he's gay and he's willing to prance around at the Not Mill Carnival with fucking flowers around his neck, you know. But like, and this is what they're all at. Now, you know, you'd think that the North Wales Police and Crime Commission have something better to do than be talking shit about a 29-year-old fucking murder, you know? But oh no, that's the most important thing in his world, right? But I'll tell you what I know about the Stephen Lawrence murder is that when I was in college, I had to do an essay about the murder, right? And so I had to read the McPherson report, and I had to read all these police statements and everything, and I had to do this essay. And the conclusion that I came to was that these guys that they got as the suspects didn't do it, right? And I'll explain why that is, right? There's quite a lot of things involved in it, right? Do you know the other guy that was with Stephen Lawrence when he got murdered? His name's Dwayne
Brooks, yeah.
Dwayne, right? It's Dwayne. Don't just take my word for it. Google the guy. He's a piece of shit, right? And he was arrested for the riot when thousands of lefties and their ethnic friends attacked the BNP bookshop in Welling. He was arrested then. He was released. Even though he was charged, he was released. Then he was arrested for a sexual assault on an 18-year-old girl, and the police said it wouldn't be in the public interest for him to be dragged through the court, so they've dropped it. And like I say, don't just take my word for it. Google this shit, because it's fucking true. They knew that it would make their this big Stephen Lawrence is a saint thing look bad if his mate, had been arrested for fucking rape. So they got away with that. I read somewhere about him being done for drug dealing as well, but I looked all over Google. I can't find it, but Google's gone to shit lately. It's hard to find a lot of things now, They're actually hiding things from us on there, but I'm sure I saw that he was done for drug dealing as well, But anyway, the suspects they picked, right? They couldn't possibly have nobody arrested for this murder, could they?
Nope.
Because they're that desperate to solve it, right? So they broke into the flat where these guys lived, and they put a camera inside one of the plug sockets, and they filmed them playing with knives, talking about fucking chopping up black people and all this sort of thing, right? But in all the footage they got, and then they got them saying some really dodgy things, right? They didn't get them talking about the murder, right? So they clearly didn't know they were being filmed, because they wouldn't have been saying all the dodgy stuff they were saying, and they were fucking playing around with knives and stuff. And I think if they did it, they would have been talking about it. So I don't think they did it. I just think they just picked a local gang who were fucking idiots anyway, and they've decided to frame them up. And like two of them is Gary Dobson and David Norris. 18 years later, they've been convicted of that murder. And that's 18 fucking years later on forensic evidence. If they couldn't find blood and hairs and stuff like that 18 years ago, then they can't find it now, can they?
Right.
It's just such a stitch up. It's unfucking believable, And I know people from Eltham, and here's another few things as well about it, right? Only one of the witnesses heard the N-word being said, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that witness was Dwayne Brooks, right? And Brooks admitted, this was in the police statements and stuff that I read, Brooks admitted that he only picked two men from an ID parade because he could see that they'd spent a few nights in custody and that they were in a state. If you've been in the cells for a few days, all your clothes are going to be creased up. Your hair's going to be a mess, right? He admitted that he only picked two of these fellas out because he could see they'd been in custody for days. The whole thing's a fucking sham, But I wasn't there. I don't know these guys, and I don't know who killed him. But I'm pretty fucking sure it wasn't these guys. But not that anybody cares. And I sent you a screenie there, didn't I, of the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail accused them of being murderers. Now, there's a thing called sub judice in English law, and that is that you're not supposed to publish anything that would deny somebody a fair trial. So that fucking newspaper named them as fucking murderers. And they know they can't do anything about it because they're just poor working class people. They can't take the Daily Mail to court. You would never do that. You'd be fucking, you couldn't afford that in a million years. So they've, where's the justice here? It's, somebody the people in Eltham say that this was drug related, this murder, right? We had one down here where these two guys came down from one area to another area to sell drugs, and they ended up getting stabbed to death. That sort of thing is what happens in the drug world, But that's what people in Eltham say this murder was. But the lefties, according to all the programs, Stephen Lawrence's mother and father didn't really want to make all this fuss, but they were forced into it by all these pressure groups, mostly lefties. People who just want to attack white people as racist and just want to call the police racist all the time, And then you got the McPherson report comes out, and it wasn't fair and unbiased. It was just an absolute attack on everything about the police, saying they were institutionally racist and they needed to. And the answer is, when you've got fucking stabbings coming out of your ears, what the answer is to stop and searching black kids, is it? This is the recommendations they've made. Stop searching black kids when you've got 140 fucking murders a year going on between black gangs killing each other. So yeah, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it, mate?
Yeah. Yeah, I did have a read through some of the articles last night and also earlier on today about some of the trials. Now, of course, some of them mainly from like the Guardian and whatnot. The one article I did read about was the Dwayne Brooks case that happened with the sexual assault. And when I was reading through that, of course, the stuff about this particular case here, um, there was a lot of stuff that even reading through it, I'm just thinking, well, something doesn't really add right. I don't know what it was, but I really just couldn't put my finger on it. But since that you mentioned it on the show, like now I'm just starting to think, well, maybe this is like, was it maybe like, well, I wouldn't say like planned, but maybe after the death, like what happened, like that's this is where it kind of start to feel like as if it does remind me more of like the whole George Floyd case, where it's like, let's definitely make this guy, this kid, let's make him like a martyr out of him and trying to blame like white people for the sins of like racism that's going on just now. But that's what comes up to me when it comes to that, you see. So
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about another case, right? Is
Mhm.
Gavin Hopley, right? He got beaten to death in 2002, right? In Oldham. And it's 8 Asian men were given between 6 and 9 months in prison for violent disorder. The guy that they reckon kicked him in the head and killed him, he got found not guilty of murder or manslaughter because he blagged that he was working in a takeaway at the time, right? So no
Mhm.
one's ever been convicted of that murder, right? In 2002. Now the Stephen Lawrence murder was 1993, right? This is 2002. The police in Manchester have said that the Gavin Hopley murder case is now closed, right? Now, if you look at The Guardian in 2012, they say the Stephen Lawrence murder inquiry is still active and there are 9 active suspects, right? So Gavin Hopley got kicked to death for being white. Nobody's been convicted of his murder, and that case is fucking closed, right? Now,
Mhm.
Stephen Lawrence got killed in 1993. 2 people are in jail for murder, whether they did it or not, and they're still fucking looking. So what's so special about this guy? And here's another thing is Lee Rigby was murdered, right? A British
Mhm.
soldier beheaded on our fucking streets by immigrants, right? And there was big demonstrations down in Woolwich, and they wanted a memorial, right? There's been a lot of to and fro in. I don't know what the current situation is down there. They had a little memorial, then it was taken away, and the police didn't want people going down there hanging like George Cross flags up and all this sort of thing because they don't want to upset the local community, which is Somalis and Asians, right? So they really don't want a memorial to Lee Rigby. And when some of the boys went to a liaison meeting with the police were saying, well, what's the big deal? Because this is just another murder in London, as far as we're concerned. You know, what they don't class the murder of Stephen Lawrence as just another fucking murder in London, do they?
Right.
A British soldier being beheaded on the streets of London, that's just another murder. But this guy, oh, fucking hell, they're going to keep throwing money at this case for another fucking 30 years, probably. You know? Absolutely shocking. And like Gavin Hopley case, like that's a perfect one, that is. And like Chris Donald, it's just like, apart from, people up in Scotland, a lot of people have never even heard of him.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they haven't. And like that's got to be Britain's worst racist murder. Now, if these people really cared about equality and that, they would be putting the murder of Stephen Lawrence and the murder of Chris Donald up together and saying this is racist murder and it's not acceptable. But they're
Right.
not fucking bothered about white people. They couldn't give a shit who dies, who's white.
Of course, it really does come off as like there seems to be some form of like a political agenda being afoot when it comes to like some of the cases, especially Stephen Lawrence. I'm just gonna say as well, there's a couple of videos here as well. You sent me as well, Joe. Do you want me to play them just now? Since they
Yeah,
kind
this
of.
one here is like, you know, how, what I was explaining there about how the police are so desperate to recruit fucking black people, you know? They won't be happy until every white man's been kicked out of the force and they've got all just blacks there, you know? And then I'm sure they'll still say they're fucking racist then, like. But yeah, play that clip there, and this is what black kids think about being asked to become a fucking police officer.
No worries. So this clip is 14 seconds long, so I'll play it now. So 3, 2, 1.
Community. The senior policeman who runs this area was telling me today that the advice he'd give you lot is to think seriously about joining the police force. He hasn't got enough.
There we are.
Yeah, not allowed to sell drugs while in uniform, though. You know, that's the fucking thing. Like, look at the way they laugh at that. Like, they don't want to be fucking police officers, do they? You know?
Nah, clearly not. Clearly not.
Look at the fucking state of them. Honest to God, like, you know, it's just like, you know, like I watched a documentary about the Stephen Lawrence murder, and they said that the amount of trouble the left was stirring up, right? And all these black groups and that, and there was trouble all over London. Yeah, there's a memorial to Stephen Lawrence there, right? And it's got a CCTV camera pointing at it 24/7 because somebody tipped a tin of paint over it one time, and it was white paint. And the News of the World were making an absolute massive fuss about it. Oh my God, it was Nazis. It was white paint, and that's symbolic. It was, you know, the fact that the paint was white, that means a lot, you know. And they arrested some 14-year-old black kid. And then it all just died a fucking death, like, you know. But they said that they got to the stage where they literally feared like a civil war in this country, because they feared that black people were going to just kick off everywhere, and, you know, there was just going to be carnage, and they wouldn't be able to deal with it. Because, you know, you watch the London riots in 2011, how the police just stood back and watched them fucking burn things and that, you know? And that bloke in Croydon, he came home and his flat was on, the shop underneath his flat was on fire. And there was police all stood there watching it burn. And he was like, that's my flat. And they were like, tough luck, like, you know? Like, they couldn't handle it. And that was only a thieving riot, you know? They literally feared that public order was going to completely break down over this. And it was entirely whipped up by the left, you know? And it's just because they hate everything British. They want to destroy all our institutions, and they definitely want to destroy the police. You know, they just like us to have an African fucking police force. I'm sure they would.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds exactly what we're seeing today with these like fake hate crimes that keep happening, especially in places like in America, where there would be a news report from like CNN, MSN, and all of that would report about, oh, there's this hate crime incident of someone spray painting the swastika on someone's car or house. Like, oh, this has to be a white person. But then, of course, they did a bit of research into it with the overall case, and they find out, oh, the perpetrator who committed the act was actually a non-white, and the whole reason why they did it was because they wanted to not necessarily promote this idea of like institutional racism or anything like that at all, but they just want to try and make themselves look like the victims, kind of a thing, like the victims of a hate crime, that they're the ones are creating for themselves, which is it's ridiculous, but it's also, it really goes to show like the length that these people will go to try and justify their own worldview within our own society. It's shocking. That it really is shocking.
Well, it's just like it's moved on now to the stage where they're at the stage of wanting to take all our statues down, and take all our fucking, change all our road names and change our pub names. You know, they are literally dismantling our society in front of our noses. You know, they ripped down that statue of Colston in Bristol, dumped it in the river. They only arrested a handful of them, and they all got fucking not guilties on that. That is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a license for them to carry on doing it. And I read yesterday, the Lord Mayor of Bristol said on Twitter, well, when he saw them rip down that statue and throw it in the river, he jumped out of his seat and fucking cheered. He's the fucking Lord Mayor.
Yeah.
Or you're cheering at people ripping your fucking city to pieces. You know? Oh, who are these absolute mental cases that are running this country? You know? They're in every institution, every position of power. And you know, like they would like to see our country destroyed. And they'd like to, you see what they've done with Westminster Tube Station. They've changed the signs to African fucking designs. And then they've changed Whitechapel to some fucking Bengali language or something. You know?
Oh, God.
Sorry, like we didn't invite these people here in the first place. We didn't want them here. Nobody ever asked us, right? But now they are here, and they're here in numbers, and they're not even a majority yet, right? And they're now dismantling our society. They're fucking taking it all to pieces in front of us, and we say, "Oh, hang on a minute, what are you doing?" And they say, "Shut up, you're racist." You know, oh, you're racist, you. And then most people go, "Oh shit, no, I'm not racist. I better go back and sit back in my fucking corner."
Yeah.
You know, and this is why we need to stand up on that. And like, I've had the police at my fucking door loads of times harassing me about my activism. You know, and it's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, but a lot of people, if they did see a copper at their door, they would shit themselves. You know, and this is the thing. Like, is they are trying to fucking nonce our children in school, teach our children to be ashamed of their fucking their very existence, and they're ripping our culture down. They're taking our history away. They're rewriting history books. You know, like they look at the way they're doing the BBC with all these every fucking period drama that you see from like Victorian times and that, there's all blacks in them now.
Yeah.
And they've got these rules that they have to have so many black people in them. So children now will be thinking they've always been here. Well, they very clearly haven't always fucking been here.
Yeah,
You know,
it's the whole
and
indoctrination.
like I follow this group about South Africa, about all the farm murders and all the rest of it that goes on over there, right? And the guy was saying on there that this minister has said that they are actually in South Africa now. They are actively rewriting the history books because it can't be allowed to continue as it is, so it needs to be rewritten. So they're going to change history. You know, how can you fucking change history? Well, you know, if you had your mental fucking scruples about you, you can't. But these people, they don't care. They don't care whether something is insane. They're just going to do it anyway. You know, and they're taking all these statues away. We've been doing this leave history alone campaign. We've been going through the list of statues and name plaques and stuff that the lefties want to remove, and we've turned up to like 2 or 3 of them, and they're gone. Nobody, and no, they've just been quietly taken away. There was a statue in Cardiff of Colston, I think, and they took that down, and then they put it into a museum, and then they said it wasn't appropriate to be in that museum, so it's been put in fucking storage now. And I'm not sure if people even know these things. They either know it, they hear it, and they can't put the pieces together of the bigger picture, that it's a massive attack on us and our culture and our way of life, or they just choose to ignore it and go and fucking watch the football.
Yep.
And eat some fucking donuts, like, you know? I just don't know what it is. Like, a lot of people who used to be involved in nationalism around here say, fuck the British people. We've been trying to warn them for 20, 30 years. They won't fucking listen, so fuck them. You know? But, like, I can't think like that because I've got fucking children. I got grandchildren. And I'm not prepared to just sit around and let my history and my culture and my country be fucking dismantled around me while I sit there terrified of being called a nasty name, like, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I was just going to say with that as well, something I've been thinking about for a while. When kind of tying back to what we were talking about earlier on, which is the whole leafleting with drama. And I know there'll be some cases where some of the people who might disagree with us might ask us about the whole demographic changes and whatnot. And whenever we bring up the idea of, well, if the current trends continue, then there's a possibility we white British will become a minority by 2066 or even before then, what a lot of people would say. And of course, we talk about this a lot, where it's like, well, I mean, I'll be dead by then anyway, so why does it matter? And the one comment I would always want to ask them as a follow-up to that is like, right, okay, so you won't be around then. What about your kids or your grandkids? Would you want them to become a minority by that point? Because whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, at that point, if the trends continue the way they are, and if the white British do become a minority by that point, then your kids and grandkids will suffer. And I mean, another question I would ask them is, well, would you want them to go through that sort of shit? You know?
That's the thing. It's like that old saying is like, if there's going to be trouble, let's have it now so that I can fight and my kids won't have to, you know, because we'll be leaving a much harder fight for them, because by the time that, you know, say like 20 years time, you're fucking dead or whatever, and, you know, they'll live in hate crime laws will be even worse than they are now. So you won't be able to say anything at all. You know, we'll have millions more fucking immigrants here, because we're on the verge of having them tell us that we need to take people because of climate change. And, you know, like on the World Economic Forum's page, it says billions of people are going to be displaced from climate change. They're just going to swamp Europe and America. And they're just, you know, they won't be happy until the last white person is fucking gone.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's going. And they won't stop. So say another 20 years time, our children are going to be in a lot worse position. I mean, like there's that kid, fucking Aaron Dugmore was a kid in Birmingham who was bullied, and he was 9 and he hung himself.
Oh, I've heard that, yeah.
He was probably one of the only white kids in his fucking school, you know, and that's now, you know, and you see these photos and that, and like we're already despised. We're fucking hated and despised in our own country. And, you know, people don't, what it is with these people is the nicer you are to them, the more that they smell weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more that they just go into you. And the more and more of them there are, I think this prediction of like 2066 is old at now. We're going to be a minority a lot fucking quicker than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, probably got about 20 years until we're a fucking minority now. The way that they've upped the gas. So like they're offering millions of Hong Kong people to come here. What are they going to do? They're going to take over a city like Milton Keynes or somewhere, and they're just going to turn it into a fucking enclave. You know, there'll be a city that's just Chinese. That's what they do. They create fucking Chinatowns, you know? And it's just like drive through London, have a look at Whitechapel, have a look at Peckham, fucking Lewisham. They're all fucking ghettos, you know? And these lefties who talk about integration and how great diversity is, they live in little villages where they probably got an Asian doctor and a fucking takeaway. And they say, we're a multicultural society and that, you know?
Yeah.
This is it. Like all these famous fucking lefties do not live in hellholes. They live in nice little posh places, you know, like that prick Billy Bragg lives down in Dorset, massive fucking wall around his house, telling us we need more Africans over here. Or go and spend a couple of nights in fucking Peckham, you know? Honestly, like, it's, you know, they're insane, these lefties are. And like Lily Allen and that. Oh, we need to bring all these immigrants over. Well, have one in your house then. No, I haven't got room. You know,
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
probably only got 16 bedrooms. You know, she wants us to have these people, not her. Her kids won't get stabbed to fucking death on their way to school because they'll be going to school in a fucking limo. You know?
Mm-hmm.
We did a freedom of information request a few years ago for Peckham, I think it was. It was why they were spending so much on taxis. They were spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on taxis, and they replied that it was because it was to stop children becoming the victims of knife crime on their way to school. You know, this is the society they want for us. And then lefties are saying, yeah, this is great. It's fucking brilliant. I can get a curry. I got a choice of 6 different fucking curry shops. Oh, wow. Like, you know, honestly, they're not right in the fucking head, these people.
Yeah, it's just it's the same old like diversity for thee but not for me kind of idea. Yeah, it's just shameful that.
Well, it's like, you know, they say when you ask them what's the benefits then of this, it's always the food, right?
Mhm.
What is so great about a multicultural society? The food. Oh, okay. Well, what about the 140 fucking gang-related stabbings every year, apart from the shootings and all the other the rest of it? They reckon there's like 4,000 odd non-fatal stabbings in London every year, right? And you have police officers going on these shows and saying, well, yeah, black people are disproportionately involved in these offences, but it's nothing to do with race. It's not a racial thing. Oh, no. Well, what fucking is it then?
Right.
Because white kids are not running around like that in those numbers, stabbing each other, are they? Black kids are. Why are they doing it then? No one's interested in why, you know? But God help us if some white kid kills a black kid, you know, like Stephen Lawrence. They don't shut up about it. It's like, you know, the murder of Joe Cox. Like, she got killed by a white guy who they say is a right-wing extremist. You ain't heard the last of that one. But David Ames got murdered by a Somali. That one's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? You know? He had the wrong kind of killer there, didn't he? But when he first got killed, all the lefties were on Twitter getting excited, thinking it was one of us that did it. And as soon as they realised it wasn't, it was one of their beloved fucking immigrants, they shut themselves and shut up.
Yeah, like I just wish people would stop caring about all the little things like my doner kebab and all of that, and actually care about what's actually important, which is our people. You know.
Yeah.
Now I got this video up here. You've sent me this earlier on. What video was this, Joe?
Oh, did I send you another video relating to Stephen Lawrence? Like, what was that one?
Let's have a look here. It's only like 10 seconds long. We'll just give a quick watch here. Just put that up here in 3, 2, 1.
Had to protect 5 witnesses, men who'd been accused of involvement in the murder. But the subsequent Macpherson report pointed its finger not at suspects, but at the police.
So I would imagine this was the riot that happened by
Yeah.
Dwayne.
Well, that there was when they went to court, and they came out of the court, and the police had allowed a massive mob of blacks and lefties to come around the court, and you can see there that they've had to fight their way down the thing. Those police officers with them haven't done a single fucking thing to help them, right? They would have liked nothing better than one of them to get fucked up, to get a fucking house brick on the back of his head or something, you know? This is what going back to like this, you know, the injustice of it, right? I don't know if they did it or not, but I don't think they did, right? But like they've had their names all over the newspapers as murderers. They've had, two of them have been jailed on really, really fucking dodgy evidence, right? 18 years later, getting done on forensics that they couldn't find in the first place with the same clobber. They had their clobber in a bag, couldn't find any Stephen Lawrence's hair or blood on them, and then 18 years later they could. That smells like bullshit to me, you know? But like, not only that, if you Google Stephen Lawrence suspects, you'll find stories where the media have said, where are the Stephen Lawrence suspects now? Where are they living? And they say, oh, this one lives at so-and-so road. This one lives at so-and-so road. He's got 2 children. Look at the kids' bikes in the garden and all this sort of thing. They would love it if somebody went there and fucked them up, you know? And like I was saying earlier that I know people from Eltham, right? They've said over the years, you wouldn't believe the amount of white kids that's been fucked up in that area by black people coming into that area in cars looking for revenge for Stephen Lawrence. Because those newspapers all said, Eltham is a hellhole, it's a racist hellhole. They filmed a bit of graffiti on the wall saying white power, and they're like, everyone in Eltham is the scum of the earth. So you got black kids from other areas driving in there looking to stab someone up. And that's happened fucking loads of times, and you won't hear about that from the police. They don't give a shit, you know? And this is the consequences of the media. The media running these fucking hit pieces on people. It's like when they do it to us. Oh, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. He's a racist Nazi. Look at him. Look at him. And this is where he lives, you know? And they want you to be fucked up. Like they'd like nothing better than someone to go and torch your fucking house or something. And they're never held responsible for this damage they cause, these pricks in the media. They're the actual scum of the earth.
Yeah, they really are. Need to be called out, of course. Time's up now. Wow, that's actually like 6:45. I think what we'll do is maybe we should have a bit of a white pilling type of story. Now, again, this is an article you've sent me earlier on, Joe. This is to do with the M8 bridge, if I'm not mistaken. I should have this up here in my notes. Let's see. Tribute plan petition. Let's have a look at this. Now, something, again, I did talk about on the show before, but I think it's important we should definitely bring this up. Because, again, it's pretty relevant to what we're talking about today with this. Let me have a look here and see. Okay, maybe, I don't know about white pilling, but... Well, I mean, we can have a look at this together, then we'll see from here. And it's this article by the Daily Record. Let me just share the screen again. Get this up here, if I can. Here we go. Let's see here. Take this off. Accept, of course. Chris Donald tribute plan is petition launched to name new Glasgow bridge after tragic murder victim. Now, I think this is something I did talk about before, because in this article it does mention, or it does bring up our very own Kenny Smith, because this was all about about a petition that opened up about possibly naming the bridge after Chris Donald. But from what we know now is that original petition was taken down because it was promoting what was it they said? It was promoting like or exploiting the death of Chris Donald or something ridiculous as that. Although there's another petition that opened up, which is on the PA website. Now, in terms of news about this, I think it's still going ahead of being named after the not Chris Donald, but the other like the foreigner. I think they even mentioned his name in the article here, from what I've read. Let me just have a quick look here, just real quick. Let me see. Now, within this article as well, they do mention that this other case, like shocked the nation. Like I cannot believe like this happened. Like kind of idea. I mean, yeah, it was a horrible death. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think the bridge should be named after. Here we go. For Sat Dag, I hope I pronounced that right. I definitely still do believe that the bridge itself should be named after Chris Donald as a way of remembering them. But the fact that even still, I don't think they're going to be naming the bridge after Chris Donald, but instead they're going to be naming it after like a foreigner. Again, it should really speak major volumes of the type of society we're living in just now. I mean, I don't know if I may have said this already, but it's clearly an anti-white society we're in just now. But yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, see, this kind of activism is epic, right? Because there's another bridge in Birmingham. They want to name it after some fucking African who got murdered by the police or chased. He was getting chased by the police and he fell in the river and drowned or something, right? That was like 1961 that happened. And they want to name a bridge after this guy. They don't care who they are. It's just, let's name bridges after people who've been killed by the police or killed by white people. And it's all another stick to bash us with, you know? Yeah. But like the activism there of like PA Scotland, you know, demanding that they name that bridge after Chris Donald, it keeps a lot more people are aware of Chris Donald's murder now because of the way that you lot have promoted it now. And that's the way to do it, like. you know. And then the thing is, you're exposing the anti-white system because they're basically trying to hide that murder because it doesn't suit their fucking agenda, you know. So this is really good activism, and you know, it's to be applauded. Like, but you know, you got to keep going with the Chris Donald stuff
Well, we
because,
will.
like I said
Yeah.
earlier, if they were concerned about stopping racist murders, they would be holding Chris Donald's murder up alongside Stephen Lawrence's murder and saying racist murder is wrong, full stop. No, not just it's only wrong when fucking white people do it, which is what they are saying, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's
Well,
like, what's the difference, right, of somebody murdering you because you're black or somebody murdering you just because you just happen to be walking past them? You know? What is the fucking difference? Like, I can't see the difference myself. That what makes it that much more shocking to be killed because of your race or whether you just happen to be passing at the time some psycho wanted to kill somebody. What makes it more fucking shocking? Like, you know?
mhm.
I just don't understand it, honestly. And like, there was this case in like the South Wales Echo, right? Fucking commie newspaper. But like, this, you know, assaults in Cardiff, you know, the place is rough. Like, people get beaten up all the fucking time, right? And this was in City Road, which is multiracial area, fucking hellhole, right? This black kid was walking along there 2 o'clock in the morning with his white girlfriend, right?
Mhm.
And somebody's walked up to him, smacked him in the fucking eye, right? And the newspapers run this story because it was a white kid who hit him, right? And hit him for having a white girlfriend, apparently. And it was like the headline was, "For God's sake, why?" That was the fucking headline. You know, like, this is so much more shocking than any other assault because he's black and the guy that hit him is white, and it was racially motivated. So it's so shocking. But I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of worse assaults and stabbings and all sorts in that area, but they don't fucking talk about them. And when there's a Somali gang fight with machetes, they don't fucking talk about it. But this guy got punched in the eye. He wasn't even really badly hurt. He just had a black eye, like, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. You know, this is how the media work. Like, oh, for God's sake, why? Like, you know, and there was this massive appeal to catch the guy and all this sort of fucking shit. Honestly, absolute bullshit.
Mm. Well, again, it's just part of what we've been talking about earlier on. It's clearly anti-white. Even this year, when we did the Chris Donald Remembrance up at the where the plaque was in Pollock Shield, and also at the Emmet Bridge, after that whole thing happened with I think it was the if I remember correctly, it was the Daily Record themselves. I made an article about this. They would mention that, oh, this was clearly a racially motivated attack, but we don't want to say it's anti-white because that's when people are going to start thinking, well, hold on a minute, maybe it is clearly to do with like anti-whiteism. And then, of course, trying to condemn us because they think we're trying to exploit the death of Chris Donald, that was, of course, not the case whatsoever. It's a case of we wanted to I don't want to say promote because but basically we want to bring up the subject matter of, look, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, here's what happened to Chris Donald is clearly anti-whiteism, this is what's happening, and this is something that's going on today. It's clearly a case of we just want to bring awareness to it, not just what happened to Chris Donald and also to remember him, but we want to bring up the other white victims that have happened, and the police and the establishment just conveniently just want to just brush them under the rug because, again, they don't want to promote this idea of, oh, there's clearly living in an anti-white society. That's what really the basic gist of it in this case.
You know, you could sit here all day reeling off the names of white people that have been killed by immigrants.
Yeah.
Literally, you could sit here for hours doing it, right? There's lists and lists and lists of names on the websites. PA's got in memoriam section on there, and there's quite a lot on there, like, you know. But like, no one's ever heard of him. I was thinking, we should go out into a town centre with like high vis on and say to people, do you know who Stephen Lawrence is? And they'll tell you straight away who Stephen Lawrence is. And then say things like, do you know who Keely Bunker is? No, you don't, do you, right? Do you know who Lee Rigby is? They might know him, maybe, right? Chris Donald, Emily Jones, Ricky Smith, Lucy Lowe, Alice Gross. You know, who are these people? Because the general public will not know who they are, like, you know? And that might be a good little video to do, like, you know? I was thinking of doing that, like, you know?
Yeah, that definitely does sound like a good idea. We'll definitely
Well,
see
you
if we
know,
can-
everyone that you ask would tell you who Stephen Lawrence is, and they'd
Yeah.
say, oh, he was killed in a racist attack, mate. You know? Like, that's what they'd say, wouldn't they? Straight away. And then you'd say all the other names to them. Do you know who Aaron Dugmore is? No, 9-year-old who hung himself because he was bullied for being white. No one knows about that. Now, that's horrific, that is, right? But no one knows about it. Keely Bunker was a girl who went to school with this black kid, and he walked her home from a nightclub, raped her, and fucking threw her in the canal and killed her, right? No one knows about that, do they? And like when the case was on, all these lefties were saying, why is anyone saying this? You know, why are you people mentioning his race? Why are you mentioning his race? That's all they're interested in. It's like with the grooming gangs. You've had girls go into the police station and say, I've been fucking raped by this gang of fucking foreigners, and they use the P word, right? And then they get fucking charged with using the fucking P word to describe someone who's raped them. This is, you know, it's beyond, like, you know, but like common sense doesn't come into it. These people know their agenda is mental, so it's gone past the stage of people being able to say, hang on, let's have some common sense here. Common sense is fucking gone now. You know, if we had common sense, we wouldn't have transvestites going into our schools, would we? To teach 5-year-olds about fucking blowjobs. You know? We just wouldn't, you know?
Yeah, it's just it's quite a hard times we're living in just now, but at the end of the day, as long as we wake people up, we tell them, hey, this is what's going on. Hopefully people will wake up and smell the coffee and see the bullshit, and hopefully we'll gain a lot more support, and we could definitely possibly save our people with that. Hopefully in this case with that.
Well, you know, like the thing is, is this is what they fear more than anything, is the white British people waking up, right? But, you know, I don't know whether they're going to wake up in sufficient fucking numbers. But the thing is, it's like this thing with Laura and that the other day. I can't remember who it is now. Some Scottish MP woman kicking off about the leaflets. And she said that we're cowards and we won't debate. So basically, PA leaders have offered them a debate. I think Kenny sent her an email and said, we'd happily debate you. Laura said she'd debate the woman. She won't debate. Because you know why they won't debate with us? Because they know that our arguments ring true with people. Because, like, when I work on building sites, sometimes I don't talk about politics in work unless people talk to me about it, you know? But I've had times when people have disagreed with me and I've sat there and fucking said, listen to this. And I've talked to them for 10 minutes and then they're on the same fucking page as me, right? Because we've got arguments and we can back those arguments up, and they don't want us telling people that. That's why they've got this. It's Asher, Jackie Bailey, a fucking idiot. But like she's like they've got this thing, no platform for fascists, right? And what it means is, if our arguments were so stupid, they would just get us on, argue with us, and humiliate us, and make us look like stupid cunts, and then tell us to go and fuck off, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
But they know they can't do that. They know that our arguments will defeat their arguments, and even if they don't, right, that the people listening will think, fuck yeah, you're right there. And that's why they don't want these arguments getting out there. You know, it's like most people don't know what our arguments even fucking are.
Nope.
Because all they say is, these people, they just hate. They just hate us. They hate people because of the color of their skin. It's just that really winds me up when people say it's just the color of his skin. Because no, let's get an African and paint him white and see if he still looks exactly like us. Because he fucking wouldn't, would he? Because there's a
Right.
thing called ethnicity, you know. And like these lefties, they boil it down to just literally skin color. Well, that's not the case, is it? You know, and they say, "Oh, we're all one race, the human race." No, we're fucking not. You know, there's different ethnicities. If an African was the same color as us, he'd still be an African, wouldn't he?
Right.
He'd just have white skin. You know, it's they ignore the ethnicity bit because it suits them. You know, and it's a basic, simple argument that appeals to low IQ motherfuckers. That's what it is. Because they want the people listening to just believe their silly, it's back to basics argument. Oh, they just hate because of color. They just hate the color. So, because if she was to sit down and have a debate with Laura, and Laura was to hit her with demographics, she's going to end up looking like an absolute idiot. And then, we'll possibly wake up a few thousand more people just with that debate. And that's why they don't want those debates to take place. And they got an easy get out of jail card by saying, no platform for racists. You're a bigot. I don't want to talk to you. You know?
Yeah, it's like they call us cowards, but then as soon as we confront them about it, hey, let's have a debate or at least a conversation about this. Oh, I'm not going to share a platform with you. You're scum.
Yeah.
It's like okay, but yeah, but we're the cowards. Apparently, we're the cowards. I know it's 7 o'clock just now, but I think we'll finish off with this video. I think this was maybe the last thing we're going to cover, and then that would be it. Now, this video again, Joe, you've sent me earlier on. This is one of the videos that was made for drama. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's some of the leafleting that we've been doing. We got a guy that makes little videos for us. Like, so I just thought if we run out of stuff to talk about, you could have not likely that I'm going to run out of things to talk about, but like if we did, you could have played that,
Yeah, no worries. I think what we'll do is we'll talk about this video just for now, like just really briefly, because I know that's the PA Book Club going to be live in just a couple of minutes, or probably even live just now. I think we'll finish off. Oh, I don't know what this is coming up for. Hold on one sec. Still showing the screen. That's fine. I think we'll just briefly talk about this just now, and then we'll see from there. Do you want me to play the audio, or do you want to mute the video and then we can talk?
Play the audio because I'm talking on the video. Like,
all right, that's fine.
Go on, just play it if you want.
Yeah, no worries. So this video, I think it's full screen, just about 2 minutes long. So I'll just play it now. So 3, 2, 1.
This is Bridgend in South Wales. White British people are going to be a minority within the next 40 years in this country if things don't change. So we're out distributing these leaflets here to let the people know we were never asked if we wanted this. We don't want this. When you tell people about this, that we're being replaced in our own country, they either say it's not happening and you're making it up and it's a conspiracy theory,
or they say it is happening and they laugh and say it's a good thing. And we don't accept it. We're not having it here. So we were never asked and we're not accepting it.
Great stuff. And there we go. Excellent stuff. Just get back onto the full screen there. There we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
we've done quite a lot of leafleting. Like, you know, we've done a lot of banner drops as well around the place. While we've been out doing it, we've done quite a lot of MPs' offices as well, like Plaid Cymru, Labour, Conservative, all these other assholes, you know. So hopefully we'll get a bit of fuss out of it, like, because they can't help themselves. You know, it's like this leaflet's not racist at all. It's just literally pointing out the fact that we're going to be a minority in our own country. And like I said earlier, the 2066 thing now is going to be a lot sooner than that, like, you know. And they're going, oh, this racist bile came through my letterbox. What the fuck? What the fuck? I can't cope, you know. And like, well, you can't cope with fucking facts, can you? And I see one guy, he said he'd been on Google trying to verify the claims that we made and he can't verify them. What a wanker. I don't know where he's looking, but it's all there if you look for it, you know? And it's basically, they literally hate it because we're waking people up.
They really can't stand that whatsoever.
It's like the thing with, you know, it's okay to be white with the stickers and all that, you know? It's like they were losing their fucking minds over it. It's like it's a sticker that says it's okay to be white on a fucking lamppost, right? Get over it. And like they're having a big massive thing about how racist it is, and then people in normies on their Facebooks or their Twitter were saying, and this is a serious question, why is that fucking racist? Like, you know? Yeah. And it was opening up debates like that wouldn't have been happening otherwise. It's just like, why are you saying the words "it's okay to be white" are racist? You know, what is wrong with your fucking, you know, you're not wired up right if you think that's racist. It says it's okay to be white. So if you've got a problem with that, you're the one with the fucking problem. You know, not the person who put the sticker there, you, because you're fucking mental.
Yeah.
It's true though, isn't it?
It's very true, yeah. Very true.
If it said it's okay to be black, they'd be like, yes, brother, putting their fucking arm up in solidarity, like, you know? It's okay to be black, but it's not okay to be white, you know? And like, I had these two fellas I was talking to a little while ago, and they were like, why do you do what you do? And I said, because of all the anti-white hatred and that. And they were like, well, that's not happening, is it? And I said, what do you mean? And they said, there's no anti-white hatred. And I had to sit there and explain it to them. And then after a while, they agreed with me. Oh, yeah, really, yeah. And like, when's the last time you saw a white couple on a fucking advert? You know? Never. It's always a fucking white woman and a black guy, isn't it? You know? I think they've forgotten who their main customers are, these companies. It's just like, it's beyond. Someone sent me 4 photographs from Llanelli Hospital down in West Wales, right? While they were sat waiting for an appointment, there were 4 adverts from the NHS in Llanelli, which is a white area. There's hardly any black people down there at all, right? Yet. And the 4 adverts have all got an African family on. 4 different adverts have popped up on screen, all with black families. Not one fucking white person in sight. You know? And like, it's almost as if there's an agenda, isn't it? You know? Absolutely disgusting. Like,
yeah, something, it clearly has like an agenda, like really gets the noggin jogging regarding to that as well. Really does.
Yeah, the thing is though, like this month doing this highlighting the demographics, that was a master stroke, that was. And it's made people work a lot harder than they normally were. And it's all for a good cause. And I think that good things will come from it, like, you know?
Yep.
And I've not heard of anyone having any harassment from the police anywhere, you know? Because they know that there's nothing they can do about it. You know, there's nothing they can do. I mean, these hate crime laws, they're ridiculous anyway. But if they had their way, they'd be worse than they are, you know? And that's why we need to kick back against that as well, because we haven't got freedom of speech enshrined in our law in this country, but we should have. You know, the closest thing we had was the European law, like, but no, we've got nothing. But like, you should be able to tell somebody that they're a fucking idiot or that they're not really a woman without having police knocking your door. You know, and like before we supposedly left the EU, they were talking about bringing in a law that it would be illegal to criticize immigration. You imagine that, like, if you even said, I'm not happy with immigration, you'd be arrested. That is communism, fucking, you know, all day long. It's ridiculous. So we need to be fighting back against all this perversion that's being hoisted onto our kids, fighting back against this. Like, I love what they're doing with this white privilege thing, going to these conferences and kicking off about that. You know, we need to be doing more of that. And definitely we need to be fighting for our statues and our street names and that, because it's a slippery slope. And like I said, we've gone 3 places to do banner drops on the Leave history alone, only to find that whatever it was, the statue or the plaque is gone. So they're just taking them away without even telling anyone. You know, and like the lefties have got a hit list. It's called Topple the Racists. And they got this hit list of statues all over the country. And they're basically trying to incite people to go and damage them. And you've had a lot of that. I think there's been a lot of it in Scotland, people throwing tins of paint over fucking statues and all that sort of thing, you know? Because they hope that if they get vandalized a few times, the council will take them down, you know?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we just can't sit back and allow this to happen. But I feel pretty positive about it, about things, the way that, you know, although it only seems like it's a small band of people fighting back, at least some people are fighting back, like, and we're spreading the word.
Yeah, the only thing we need to do now is just keep doing what we're doing. Hopefully, we'll wake up a lot more people. I think I'll end the stream tonight with this comment coming through in the chat on YouTube. Joe's a good laugh. We need people like him. I definitely agree with that. We need more people like Joe. He would just speak his mind out no matter what. So, and if people are offended with what he says, he doesn't give a toss. So,
yeah, exactly. Well, I sent you that song I was on about irrelevant battles, which is about the lefties, where they would step over their own people in the street to help fucking foreigners. Like, I reckon you should play that to end the show, like, you know?
Definitely. I actually got that up here just now. Just to make sure I got the right one. Is it sung by Patrick Fitzgerald?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's it. Perfect. Got the right one. Awesome. All right, then. Well, I'll get that up just now, and then we shall end the show tonight a bit later than usual. And I know PA Book Club will be live just now. So if you haven't done so already, after tonight's episode comes to an end, head on over to PA Book Club, whether it be on Odysee, DLive, Radio Albion, or even Entropy. So, and even with Entropy, when it comes to special for tonight's episode, I do apologize if I couldn't really answer any questions tonight. I don't think anything came through with Entropy, which again is completely fine. But for Entropy within PA Book Club, if you have any questions to ask them, being paid or unpaid, just feel free to ask any of them questions regarding to that. And like I said earlier on, with tonight's episode, I'll private the episode on YouTube, and if people missed it live, head on over and watch it on Odysee, as I'll have it as an Odysee exclusive type of idea. I think that's really all about it with that.
I was just going to say, if anybody wants to get involved or anybody wants to speak to me, and you can email, I don't answer the emails, but somebody will. It's the Wales Patriotic Alternative email address. Or if anyone wants to speak to me on Telegram, my @thing is Not a Real Hooligan 14. So if anyone wants to speak to me on there, just feel free to message me.
Excellent. Yeah, definitely. I'll also add one thing too, is I've put the link for PA Wales' Odysee account down in the description for both YouTube and Odysee. Now, I think they have went past 103 followers, which is really good sign. They're really good stuff. If you haven't done so already, please, again, give them a follow as well on Odysee, because I'm sure they'll upload more content in the near future with that. And like Joe said, if you want to contact him or get involved, contact Joe or anyone from PA Wales. with the emails and the links as mentioned. If you want to get involved with, I would say, go onto the PA website and even like talk to people there with that for more info. I'll even also put up like a Telegram post about what was discussed on tonight's episode later on. With that being said, I'll end the show tonight. I want to thank Joe for coming on this fine evening. I'm sure in the near future I'll get you back on later on for a future episode. I'm not entirely too sure what's going to be happening for the next few shows after this, because I know I talked about in the past I was going to get Kenny Smith on. I don't know what's happening with that. I'm sure he'll still come on the show. It's just to be the case of I don't know what's happening with because I don't want to like spoil or anything, but I want to bring him on for a specific reason. Him and I did talk about this before, so I'll definitely see what will happen with that. In terms of other guests on the future show, again, I have some ideas who I want to bring on, but I'll definitely have a look at that much further later on. And then, of course, we'll see with that from there. So anyway, with that being said, again, thanks very much for being on the show, Joe. I'll have you back on in the near future. I hope everyone has enjoyed tonight's episode, and I shall be back on Thursday with episode 79. I actually cannot believe we're about 21 episodes into the 100th episode, which is crazy to think. And yeah, we'll definitely see with that from there. So again, thank you all very much for watching. This is Chief Moody signing off, and with me tonight, of course, was Joe Marsh of PA Wales. Before we go, do you have any final words to say, Joe?
I was just going to say thanks for having me on again. Like, and whenever you want me on again, just let me know. Like, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely give you a message with that. Thanks again, Joe.
Nice one, guys.
No worries. Thanks again, everyone. Take care, stay safe, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you all in the next episode, or in the near future, which I usually say. But anyway, thanks again, and take care. Good night. Thank you all.
One, two, three, four. They're all too busy saving children in Chile and helping flood victims on the other side of the world. And when the war was over in Vietnam, you had 3 adopted boys and 5 adopted girls. Got it first with food parcels when they're starving in Afghanistan, India, Kenya, or anywhere really. I've seen some tram pass before the time on the street. You just said sorry, I'm fast, but not as fast as your feet. You're too busy fighting your irrelevant battles to see what's going on in your own backyard. Too busy fighting your irrelevant battles to see what's going on in your own backyard. Cause some of us are having a hard time. Yeah, some of us are having a hard time. And you're all too busy saving children in Chile and helping flood victims on the other side of the world. And when the war was over in Vietnam, you had 3 adopted boys and 5 adopted girls. You're out on the streets with your little placards, marching up and down, saying tear it down. I don't think you've even seen what you're talking about, except for the tourist version, no doubt. You're too busy fighting your irrelevant battles to see what's going on in your own backyard. Too busy fighting your irrelevant battles to see what's going on in your own backyard. Cause some of us are having a hard time. You know that some of us are having a hard time. Because some of us are having a hard time.